As we continue with the epic adventures of King Arthur, as told by Sir Thomas Malory in Le Morte d'Arthur, we begin to see the true virtues of Arthur come to shine through, as he transitions from a youthful boy who served as a squire to his brother to the king of all Britain. Where he was once coy and demure, he now appears bold and strong. And going by the last battle, we see that he's a natural born leader, and one who is not afraid of getting his hands dirty. Of course, never far behind him is his trusted, albeit pushy and manipulative mentor, the wizard known as Merlin. With the 11 kings defeated in the Great Battle of Bedegraine, as featured in the last video, and with Arthur now married to Lyonors and the father of a child, you'd think he'd be settling down to take it easy for a while. But no, duty called as king, and it seems as if Arthur was far done from his heroics, as he, King Ban and King Bors all departed with their fellowship and made their way to Cameliard. You may remember the distressing news that Arthur came upon in the last video, where he learns that his ally King Leodegrance has been sieged by King Rience of Wales, a king who shared bad blood with Arthur. It might very well be one of the first times that we see Arthur spring into action without needing to ask Merlin for permission first, as he rushes to the aid of his friend. It takes them 6 days to reach King Leodegrance, and unlike the previous battle, Malory doesn't give us a long exposition or commentary on the skirmish. He simply tells us that King Leodegrance is rescued and that Arthur, Ban and Bors killed a whole bunch of King Rience's army, 10,000 to be specific, before King Rience and what was left of his army fled from the scene. Arthur, Ban and Bors are thanked by King Leodegrance, and there is good celebration amongst them for having come to his rescue. It is here that Arthur lays eyes on the lady known as Guinevere, the daughter of King Leodegrance, and just like that, Arthur falls in love with her. So yes, despite having previously just married the Lady Lyonors and giving her a child, he now lusts for this new flavour of the week. Much like his father Uther Pendragon, Arthur proves that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and Malory tells us here in this passage that Arthur would go on to marry Guinevere, because what man wouldn't want 2 wives? I suppose as a king, child support isn't really an issue, and he can cover the alimony costs without much concern. Besides, he's a king. He can do whatever he likes, right? Providing Merlin allows him, of course. Arthur, Ban and Bors take their leave from Cameliard, and we return to focus on King Claudas. You might remember that the only reason Ban and Bors agreed to help Arthur defeat the 11 kings in the last video was because they were promised by Arthur that he would help them defeat King Claudas, who'd been causing great destruction upon their lands. Arthur is true to his word and tells the kings that now that his lands are safe, he would join them in making theirs safe too. But Ban and Bors, it seems, have come to love Arthur like their own brother, and they each agree that it is best for him to stay here in Cameliard, as there is much to do in fixing the mess that King Rience has caused with the siege. They declare that with the loot they have acquired from the battle will serve as enough payment for their participation in Arthur's war, and that should they need him, they will call for him, and should that he ever need them again, they will come at his command. Of course, before Arthur can agree to this, Merlin does it for him, and declares that they should not hesitate to summon Arthur, for he will be there. He also gives the 2 brothers a prophecy, saying that in 2 years they will have great need of Arthur, and that his presence will be guaranteed when the time arises. Merlin also delivers yet another prophecy of the 11 kings, who had returned to their lands, saying that they will all die in a day by the great might and prowess of arms of 2 valiant knights. Their names, Merlin discloses, are Balin the Savage and Balan, his brother, those that are a pair of marvellous good knights as any. In this part of the story, Malory makes for a perspective switch, and we turn our heads to have a look at the 11 knights who are nursing their wounds after their defeat, only to discover through a messenger, as Merlin had predicted, that their homes have been ravaged. They are told that 40,000 raiders came and burned and killed all of their people without any mercy, and that their castles have been sieged. In essence, there is no home for them to return to, for everything has either been destroyed or captured by lawless barbarians. Immediately, the kings are stricken with sorrow, and they regret ever having tangled with Arthur, for had they not, they might have been there to save their people. Or if they were allies with Arthur, then Arthur would have facilitated their revenge, for they recognise him now not as the lowly boy, but a valiant and just man who fought courageously for what he believed in. They reflect on the news that Arthur has already avenged King Leodegrance so soon after his battle with them, and that had they been allies with Arthur, he probably would have done the same for them by now. But instead of ruminating of what could have been, they begin to plot to take back what belongs to them, or to at least salvage that which was left. Malory tells us that they consented together to keep all the marches of Cornwall, Wales and the north, and divided up their forces to guard various cities in these areas from further attacks. They fortified the lands they had left, manned the fortresses, and began to establish alliances with other kings, dukes and lords, in an effort to not only rebuild their forces, but to defend their territories. Here you might say that these 11 kings, who were the enemies in the previous chapter, become something of anti-heroes in this moment, in that they still refuse to bow to Arthur, but try to do the right thing by their people. They have not lost their ambition, and this is clear by the fact that they are still trying to build their strength, by forming unions with various political players across Britain. You might say that this is something of a potential redemption arc for these 11 kings, who had certainly been the antagonists up until now. In fact, we even see them take down King Rience of North Wales, one who likely refused to be a part of their shenanigans, having already been chased out of Cameliard by Arthur. We learn at the end of the chapter though, that despite what seems like a noble effort on behalf of the 11 kings, they are still very much set in their ways. They are not in the mind to let their defeat to Arthur hinder their vengeance, and they begin to furnish and garnish good men of arms for the purpose of another war, one that they hoped would vindicate their loss to Arthur at the Battle of Bedegraine. Unfortunately, we don't have time to cover their fate in this video, but as you can imagine, the prophecies of Merlin do not spell a happy ending for our 11 kings. Be sure to tune in next time as we see how Arthur first lays his eyes upon a creature known simply as the Questing Beast, and even more guilt trips by Merlin. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's video, then don't forget to give this one a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Until the next time guys.